Hey guys, welcome back to the Detour Live, and geez, are we excited? We've only got 3 days to go of this year's Giro, and it's going to be an epic battle, particularly amongst the GC guys. And after Yates' ride, it's game on. I'm your host, Dan Jones, joined as always, Olympic gold medalist Scotty McGrory, and we've got another Olympic gold medalist, Bradley McGee, the one and only Aussie cycling legend. And Brad, you look like something off Australia's Most Wanted, mate. We've got you live in the car. You've just outrun the cops, and you've got an extra 15 minutes before the sirens start.
Well, yeah, you're not far from the truth there, Dan. But just for the record, I'm not driving. I've pulled over. It's the end of the long work week. I'm on the M4 in Sydney's west. It's glamorous. It's all glamour here, I tell you.
Hey, Brad, we had planned to talk to you in the office, and obviously you're not in the office now. Is there any kind of story as to why you're not in the office, mate? Are you care to divulge?
Yeah.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
I've locked myself out of the office again. I have a habit of doing it. And it's a big office, a lot of people around, but no one on a Friday afternoon. I was like tapping on the glass. No, finished. Lucky I had my car keys on me.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
You're having a bit of a Betty Crocker today, mate.
Yeah. Sometimes I really wonder. You know, I used to lead teams to Grand Tour victories. Dan, can you believe that? I can't even find my keys to my office.
I can because by you coming on the show so early, normally we've got a strict format. We talk to Whitey, then we have a break, and then we bring our guests on, and then Scotty or Johnny does an intro to the guest. And one of the things that I love doing is I love getting on YouTube and just stealing vision. Now, I've stolen some vision of you for when you were inducted in the Australian Sports Hall of Fame. And I think Craig Willis does the voiceover for it. It's fantastic. So we might as well play it now. And this will give the listeners a bit of background to why you are titled as an Australian cycling legend.
In the pantheon of Australian cycling champions, Brad McGee rates amongst his country's finest. On the road and track, his versatility and outstanding record makes him one of the all-time greats. He was the first Australian to wear the leader's jersey in all three of the Grand Tours, the Tour de France, Giro d'Italia, and Vuelta a España. He also beat the kings of the road for stage wins in both the Tour and the Giro. But it was on the track where his career began and blossomed. At age 19, he became a junior world champion and world record holder in team's pursuit, and a year later, at his Olympic debut in Atlanta in 1996, he won a pair of bronze medals. Shortly before the Sydney 2000 Olympic Games, disaster struck when Brad crashed during a training ride. Surgeons inserted a plate and 7 screws into a broken collarbone. Just 18 days later, he bravely shrugged aside his injuries and won a bronze medal for his country. 2002 was an extraordinary year. He won the World Individual Pursuit Crown, won his 5th Commonwealth Games gold medal, and took to the road to win stage 7 of the Tour de France.
It looks as though McGee is going to get the victory of his life. Bradley McGee, the Australian, takes it on the line.
A year later, he wore the Tour's coveted yellow jersey. Returning to the track, he won gold in team's pursuit at the 2004 Athens Olympics.
Australia remain the champions of the world at this sport.
And silver in the individual pursuit, beaten only by the legendary Bradley Wiggins.
2 great friends from Australia and Great Britain.
In a career without blemish, his record included 4 Olympic campaigns, 5 Olympic medals, including 1 gold medal, 2 world titles, and 4 Commonwealth Games golds. After putting his body through incredible stress for nearly 2 decades, McGee retired at the end of 2008, aged 32.
What an intro. Unbelievable. Now, Craig Willis is awesome, but he can't.
Where'd you find that? There.
It's on YouTube. It's only had 10 hits. We need to get that going. So if you search Bradley McGee, it's true.
Seriously.
You need but 10 hits. So I looked at him going, this is gold. How come this hasn't gone viral?
I'll have to tell my mum. She'll tell all the friends. We'll get at least a dozen by the end of the night, I reckon. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. Get on YouTube, check it out, search Bradley McGee, Australian Sports Hall of Fame, and then you go. But Craig Willis, he can't pronounce Giro. It's Giro, and the Vuelta I think he stumbled over as well. But other than that, sounded awesome.
Great
But
voice.
Tell you what, mate. You know, just on that bike in Atlanta. You know, if you go back, there was a grab from Atlanta. That bike was seen on the net just recently. Someone's got it, flogging it off for $30,000.
You're joking.
Yeah.
How did they get their hands on it? It's
I mean,
not Shane Bannon,
Scooter,
is it?
how much did you get for your Olympic bike? Hey, you got to double that, wouldn't you?
No. Mine's actually under the bed. I've got it under the bed protected.
Right.
But that was a special bike. That was the super bike, and obviously with a medal attached to it as well. But beautiful machine. But $30,000. See, bikes stand. Cars and all these things, Ferraris and all that stuff. A lot of these special vehicles go up in price dramatically. Bikes typically don't. So second-hand bikes, you get them for virtually nothing, unless it's Eddie Merckx's bike or obviously Brad McGee's bike. They're the only things that actually go up in value, which is pretty cool.
That was a horrible bike. Horrible. It was the most uncomfortable thing I've ever ridden.
It's 19,500 now. It's just plummeted.
hey, with that video, so 2004 Olympic Games, Bradley Wiggins wins the individual pursuit over Brad. Now, Brad gets a gold in the team pursuit. But I know, and I've spoken to Wiggo, he said that was one of the most special things that he's done in his career. Now, he won 5 gold medals, I think it was, at the Olympic Games, Tour de France as well. But he puts down that particular race against Brad because he saw Brad as just a superstar of pursuiting, as one of his absolute most cherished moments, which is what a sign of respect to you, Brad, that, Sir Bradley Wiggins puts down that victory over you as one of his most cherished moments. So you were an iconic rider, mate, back in the day, that's for sure.
Thanks, Scooter. Yeah, thanks, mate. Keep it coming. Anything else?
No. Well, I'll back up. Go 4 years before that. Let's go 4 years before that, right? So Wiggo is in the Madison at the Olympic Games. No, this is an interesting story, right? So Wiggo rides the Madison at the Olympic Games in Sydney, which, of course, Brett Aiken and I come away with the gold medal. But they were in the bronze medal position. Rob Hales and Bradley Wiggins were sitting in the bronze medal position coming to the final sprint. It was double points on offer for the final sprint. And I was coming down the finishing straight in 4th position. We had an unbeatable lead going into that final sprint, so we didn't need any points. I threw my arms up halfway down the finishing straight to celebrate our victory. That allowed the Italian team of Martinello and Villa to come over the top of me, pick up the final 2 points on offer. That put them into the bronze medal position and up onto the podium. Now, Rob Hales and Brad Wiggins had both berated me for celebrating too early and costing them a bronze medal. Back then, I said to them that the Italians were obviously superstars of the track. Martinello, points racer, Madison world champion with Marco Villa as well, multiple times. And I said that the podium in Sydney looked much better with me and Brett, Etienne de Wilder and Matthew Gilmore for Belgium, Martinello and Villa for Italy. That was a better podium than having the 2 British twats up there in 3rd place. And I've always joked about that until Brad won the Tour de France in 2012. And I thought, what an idiot I was for celebrating too early. I could have had Brad Wiggins on the podium.
Hey, boys, we've got another special guest.
But Paul Robbie, I looking for the bronze in the IP then as well. Mate, he'd be still to us.
Yeah.
JT. JT.
How are you, John?
Right,
You got your dressing gown on. You're hanging in there, mate.
Yeah, been a bit crook. But when I knew that Bradley was on, I had to come on and say hi because I've got the fondest memories of that. Was it 2004 Giro? I think it was when you had the pink jersey. It was just the most amazing trip. Yep. We had a motley crew of Aussies.
Mate. It was a special time. Yeah.
It was, and so there was Al, my mate Al, God rest his soul,
Good
Tony McKee, Carl Wilson, I can't remember, a couple of others. And not only did we do the whole Giro, just this motley crew, but we managed to stay in the same hotel with you on many occasions. We'd be having breakfast with you. You'd be bringing me over the special cereals that you guys were having. It was just a wonderful trip. And but that's the fun side of it. But I haven't been as impressed with many bike riders as I was with you in that one, Bradley, because you got the pink jersey and then you fought on, and you weren't really thought of that at that time to be a GC contender, but you just kept fighting. I remember watching you up a couple of times. The Motorola's one that sticks out. You weren't far off the group, and you were digging in like, I thought, this has got to be the last day you can do this. You know, you just digging in, and you got through it. You kept doing it and kept doing it. So yeah, I was very impressed.
Yeah, it's, the only way I survived those climbs was with some pretty hair-raising descents to get back in. Was by the skin of teeth sometimes. Good time, JT. Good times. You know, we've all been involved with the Tour de France. You know, yourself and I'd done a few by then, but the Giro it just seemed like you get, you know, just accessible. You know, yeah, you guys were literally at our breakfast table. We could have a yarn after dinner at night, and you know, like the accessibility was right there. It was like we're all in it together. Whereas in the Tour de France, of course, you get nowhere near like that. That connectivity.
Beautiful race and
it was great times.
As they say.
Yeah.
But I do remember.
I also remember, JT, that on the penultimate night, we started to actually early and maybe have a few bevies and talk about the great 3 weeks we just experienced. And I think thankfully for you called it, the older, wiser statesman. You said, listen, this is not over. There's still a stage. You boys better get to bed. So thanks for that, mate. I was a bit rusty as it was.
First time he's ever said that.
You want to go yet? Yeah. Well, it was amazing. And I remember Carl Wilson ended up being somehow, there was a relationship there from his father. I can't remember. It all come out in the wash, but sensational time,
That's
mate.
right.
And, yeah.
And if you would have been there at the tour when Brad pulled on the yellow jersey?
I was. That was super amazing. I remember that day because we were walking. The crowd was just enormous, and we were walking in this crowd, and the guy just up in front of us, Tim the vet, is a bit taller. Noticed this guy, and we talked thousands of people. He noticed the wallet fall out of his back pocket, and he went, "Hey, mate." And being an Aussie, the guy turned around. You dropped your wallet, and it was Cookie's dad, Bane Cook's dad, and so we carted them off into a bar, and he was so appreciative, you know, because he never would have seen it again, and everything in there. Yeah, and we got them on the Terps for a couple of days and just about destroyed them. But wonderful memories. One of my great memories of that, mate, was you, the stage you led out, Cookie. You're in the yellow jersey. You've let it out. Cookie's a bit too back. And the way you just managed that, you went from side to side, propped early. We've had them all just too far for everyone to go. Let Cookie come with a run. It was one of the most brilliant tactical sprints I've ever seen. Remember it well.
Oh, okay. He loved the long sprint. You couldn't stop him from jumping early, so we just went a bit earlier than everyone else.
Yeah.
That was good times.
Hey, Brad. Okay, 8th in the Giro d'Italia, stage wins in all of them, and the first, as we heard from Craig Willis, the first Australian to wear the leaders jersey in all 3 Grand Tours. You got the team pursuit from the Olympics. I found this fascinating. Commonwealth Games, you've got 5 medals, all of them gold. So, you know, you've had a stellar career. Then also as a sports director as well, as a race director, you retired very young in terms of professional cycling, went straight into being a race director. What are your best memories? What do you really think about, you know, these years on now that you're a long time out of the racing side of things?
You got to think of the connections you hold now. You're part of it there, Scotty. We've got the Graham Brown initiative with the WhatsApp group and the monthly call-in with that old set from, you know, those early Olympic campaigns. And that's, you hold dear to that. You know, those times, the build-up, before anything really happened, you know, you're just training your ass off and, you know, hanging up your mates and trying really hard. You didn't know what was ahead. They were golden moments. And to be real connected with those guys and girls from that era, that's, you hold that really, really dear to your heart. You know, and the rest is you just got to be, thankful that you had the capacity to do all those amazing things and experience all those amazing events. I really couldn't single anything out there. Just deeply grateful I had the capacity to do it and support to do it. It was amazing.
Yeah, shared moments. It's amazing, isn't it? That's, obviously the team pursuit with those boys, with Lancaster Brownie, Luke Roberts. There's cherished moments that you guys have. It's like for Brett Aiken and I, if I enter a room, I don't see Brett that often. Okay, so if I do see him at a cycling event or an awards or whatever it may be, it's a look across the room and just an acknowledgement that we're both there. And a bit of a nod, I'll catch up with you soon. I'm busy at the moment, or he's coaching or whatever it is at the national championships. I might be commentating. Can't talk to you right now. But there's just that little acknowledgement that we know what we share together and that mutual respect, which obviously you have as well. One of the things for you, Brad, that has always stuck in my mind is it got mentioned in that clip there briefly that you crashed in training while we're in Adelaide before the Sydney Olympic Games, and 3 weeks later picked up the bronze medal in the individual pursuit. And I remember being out there on the road with you that day that you crashed and thinking, oh my God, this is it. Your Olympic dream is over. Yet you still picked up, probably not the medal you were looking for, but a medal at the Olympic Games 3 weeks after breaking your collarbone. And the utmost respect. And it's those shared experiences that I sort of reflect on, as I get older and have obviously lost all my hair and become an old man. But man, you've had an incredible career and showed an enormous amount of courage.
I remember that day, Scotty. I think Michael Rogers was holding me in his arms, and he put his hand up under the jersey and felt the collarbone. And you're trying to say, "You're right, it's probably just bruised." And I remember Mick looking at you and just shaking his head as if I could see it. But Mick was like, "No, it's done."
No, it's done.
Fortunately, they patched me up pretty quick.
Right.
He's bugging. See, they threw a patch in it pretty quick, and I was on the track 3 or 4 days later. That was amazing, right? Yeah, that time.
Yeah, it was amazing.
And again, that was the whole team support. It was amazing.
Yeah. So what about the Giro itself? Have you been watching? You're a pretty busy man, so have you been able to actually catch up with the Giro?
I haven't actually watched enough of this year. I'm sort of holding out, saving my legs, I guess, for the Tour. I need to actually, for some of the rules I've got, I need to pay attention to that one. But the Giro always holds a special place. When it's on. The experience I had, I went from finishing dead last in 2000 to finishing top 10. 4 years later. And interestingly, I don't know if it's well known, but I don't know if you knew this at the time, but I wasn't even supposed to finish that Giro. I was only halfway. I had tickets to the Monaco Grand Prix to get back to. And halfway in, I'm sitting third place on GC. I was stuck there. Had to box onto the end.
Did you scalp the tickets? You had to get rid of them, unload them. Could have got a bit of money for those.
So I had this conversation with Simon Gerrans the other day, and he reckons he ended up getting my tickets to the Grand Prix. Yeah, all these years later, he bothered to thank me.
Incredible.
Hey, Brad, how did you go
after
cycling? You've obviously done a lot of work. You're DSing and working for federations and so forth. How does that compare to racing?
Oh, I can tell you. I mean, look at that. That's in Tour of Qatar. You're just so complex, and I think most athletes that have gone into that directing, coaching, management space, the first thing they realise is, bloody hell, didn't know you guys did so much work. The behind the scenes work is just insane. But every Grand Tour I finished as a DS, I was more emotionally and psychologically drained than any of the ones I finished as a bike rider. I literally would stay in the hotel for another 24 hours, close the door, close the windows, room service to recover so I can go home and actually be a father and a husband in some capacity. You're just absolutely exhausted. Those campaigns start so far out with all the recon and all the planning and the staffing and the communication level is insane. The amount of work that goes into it. I spent 5 years in that sports director capacity with Saxo. And look at these, some of the people involved in there, 10, 20, 30 years. I don't know how they do it. It is draining. It's exhausting.
Well, I got to say, Bradley, that obviously was true some of the time, but I'm going to pull you up on that because I can remember a couple of times where that next day you didn't lock yourself away. You joined us for lunch and someone on the quite legendary
It was the
lunch.
day after that. The day after the last.
Needed recovery time from the lunch
Oh,
itself. No,
Yeah.
It was the rosé lunch.
Oh,
Great times.
it is
Special.
true though, isn't it, Brad? Because as a rider, I've been in a similar situation since I've stopped in doing different things, and when I was hosting, full cycle TV show and other commentary things, you as a rider, you know that you have to train hard, you prepare for it, and recovery is so important. And recovery means making sure that you switch off your mind, go to sleep, get as much recovery as you can before the next day's training. And at the end of the day, there's nothing more you can do other than go to sleep and actually recover for the next day. Now, post-racing career, it's thinking all the time, have I done enough research? Have I thought about this? And it's hard to switch your brain off. And I guess that's what you're referring to, isn't it? That the rider, yeah, sure, it's bloody hard, to be a professional athlete in any sport. So physically super tough mindset to do it. But they get to actually just switch their minds off every afternoon once the racing's done or the training's done. But for the DSs and for the other people around the scenes, mate, the mind it's hard to turn the mind off. So were you able to find a way to do that eventually, or is that something that's still a challenge to actually switch the mind off to make sure you recover?
Yeah, and it's still a thing I can do. So what I would see was most day.
We're having a few audio problems.
Hear me, boys?
Yeah, it's cutting in a bit in and out. See if you can work out a way to turn your mic off the car one. I reckon that's the problem. I'll set you a challenge, Brad. Now, what we can do while you're fixing that, Iffy, how are you travelling, mate? Do you want to stay on or?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah,
Yep.
This has revitalised me.
Okay, perfect. Well, what we'll do is we'll do a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange, because what you're saying, Brad's gold. So we don't want it cutting in and out. And then we'll see if we can fiddle with the audio stuff, and then we'll come back after that. And we've also got an interview that I did earlier with Sports Director Matt White. So quick word from Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange. What are you eating, Scooter? Looks nice.
Banana bread. Sandy made me some banana bread, so I was trying to get that down.
I saw it.
Swallowed before we get back on camera. Sorry.
You got about 4 bits in.
Yeah.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Brad?
I haven't eaten since Sunday.
Oh well,
Mate, you'll be in the front group soon if you keep going like that.
I'll be climbing the Pyrenees soon. Yeah.
We've had a comment from Kiwi Cat, says, get well soon if you take care of yourself. Rick Adams says, good that Whitey didn't have to learn netball rules, obviously with Remco abandoning from the race. We've got a question for Brad, but I think his screen's frozen now, so that I tried to fix the audio and I've completely wiped him out. It says, could I ask Bradley how they pick the Olympic teams for the Olympic road race? How is it we can only send 4 riders? COVID? I think that's standard, isn't it?
No. So 5 is standard. And Brad, if we can get Brad back, he'll because he has been involved with all of that. 5 riders is standard. It comes down to how many spots we qualify. And as a nation, we've been very good over the years, but the last couple, we haven't been as competitive as we'd like to be. So we haven't been able to qualify the maximum number of 5 riders.
All right, well, why don't we play the first part of Whitey's interview, because obviously everyone's interested. It's such an epic stage 19 today. And this is, part one. There's two parts, and we obviously chat about what he thinks is going to happen on stage 19. You can finish off that banana bread, and if you try, pour yourself a hot tea or something, and let's get going. Whitey, these moments, I mean, when I was on the ground, I couldn't contain my excitement, mate. I was just absolutely fizzing. And obviously, with Yatesy, you knew it was going to be a title fight. You knew it was going to go to the end. But what's the overall emotion in the group at the moment?
Really good, Dan. Yeah, the ride that the boys put together the other day, off the back of a rest day, everyone's been up and about, and we have one big ride. The momentum just flows, and everyone knows that our leader's in a really good place and at the best time of the race, and that's the tail end where it's going to matter the most. Now,
one thing I used to love doing, particularly on the backstage, is I'd have movie analogies. Now, I've got one that I reckon summarises just after the team meeting today, and that is, of course, Rocky 2. Now, Yatesy's going to be Rocky, you're Adrian, and Jerry's in the background. He's the old trainer, Mickey. So I just want to play this epic clip from Rocky 2.
You look so tired. Why don't you go get some sleep?
Oh, no, I feel great.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!
Mate, this is it. This is it. We got 3 rounds to go. We knew Drago was going to be dominant at the start, but with 3 rounds, he was a bit wobbly on his feet. What is the instructions today, Whitey? What are we going to say to the boys?
Well, I wasn't out chasing chickens this morning, but I went for a good run. Now the big thing that's changed there, Jonesy, is that Category 1 climb in the middle is gone.
Yep.
So that's a Category 4 climb now, which is really nothing. So, and the stage is shortened by, I think, 15 kilometres. So it's basically a flattish stage until kilometre 120. Then you've got the Cat 2 and then descent, and then you haven't got too much time onto the final climb. And the final climb, it may not be as hard as the other day when Yatesy ripped it a new one, but it is hard. It is a very hard climb, and especially in the last 3 to 4 kilometres. And at the end of the day, if we want to win this Giro, we have to put pressure on our rivals, and we're looking forward and not backwards. That's for sure, mate.
What are you expecting from the other teams, knowing, and we mentioned this yesterday, that there was some weaknesses shown, and it's the first time in the whole Giro with Bernal. What do you think the other teams are going to be trying to do as well?
Yeah, it's hard. It depends on how much certain riders with other wheels falling off, or did they just have a bad day? And only those teams and those individuals know that. But it's all got to be measured as well. At the end of the day, we've got to be calm, and also we've got to, whatever we do has got to be the best thing for Simon this afternoon or tomorrow. So we've got a big buffer back to 4th place. We're only a minute off 2nd place, and if we wanted to finish 2nd, we'd need a lead going into the time trial over Cruzo. Cruzo's a better time trialer than Simon, but it's also he's going into uncharted territories as well. He's never led a team in a Grand Tour. He's a very, very good bike rider, very consistent. But he came to this race to help Michael Landa and found himself in a situation where he's in 2nd place. And there's a guy who's finished in the top 10 in the Giro, the Tour, and I think the Vuelta as well. So he's an experienced campaigner, very, very, very consistent. And then Bernal, well, he's won a Grand Tour. I said for a long time, it's his race to lose. His race to lose. They've got the strongest team here. They've got the biggest budget in the world of cycling, and they expect to win. And they've been in pole position for a long time now, and it's up to them to hold it.
You were talking about the momentum sort of swing, and obviously that ride of Yatesy's the other day is pumped a lot of positive momentum in the team. But on the flip side, can it have an adverse effect? Because over the years, when a rider's cracked on a stage and only lost, a minute or so, it's very rare that just turns around. So do you think in the Ineos camp, on the flip side, that can play tricks on you mentally, particularly going into these massive stages?
Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't know Bernal well enough, or I don't know, and I don't really know any of their riders well enough, mate. And all I know is how we work on this team and how we manage certain situations, and that's what matters for us at the moment. How we go forward in these couple of days, but it wouldn't be a nice feeling to be so dominant for such a big period of the race, and then have a bad day. But how people handle those adversities is what makes champions, isn't it?
And what is the weather conditions today?
Sensational. Another warm one, mid to high 20s. So same as yesterday, 26, 27. Really, really nice weather. Thank God, because we've had a pretty average. We've had a pretty average Giro. We had a pretty average Giro weather-wise, and it looks like spring and summer is finally arrived for us.
And are we expecting those sort of conditions for tomorrow and the time trial?
Yeah, tomorrow, yes. And I think there's a small chance we might get rain on Sunday for the TT, but it's a 30k TT. It's 38, 39 minutes. It's not very technical, and most people will be hoping that the time trial result is not going to affect your placing. If you've got a 30 to 40 second buffer on most guys, that's pretty much where you'll stay. So we're just focusing on today, but the weather looks good for the next 48 hours, and I said if it's wet on Sunday, it is what it is.
So obviously, last time I asked you a stupid question like, what do you want to achieve today? And obviously, winning the stage would be nice. But in terms of a buffer, going into obviously stage 20, which we've spoken so many times is just rude. What would be a realistic scenario in terms of there's still a chance to win this Giro after the finish today?
Well, I think we saw a couple of years ago. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, and has happened over the years. So if people blow, they blow. If it's in the last week of a tour, people have bad days. You can lose. I think Cadel Evans when he in the Giro in 2002 or 3, he had the leader's jersey with 1 or 2 days to go and lost 15 minutes on one stage. So anything's possible. And it isn't over until we cross the finish line in Milan.
And the roles for the guys in the rest of the team, obviously, Heppy, Cam, and Yul Jensen and that were really good in the early stages. Are they going to be sort of on the front doing similar things for today?
I wouldn't be surprised if you see a bit of them getting their face in the wind today, at some point of the day. And then we've got to see. We've lost Schultze, and also we've Mikel Neve. He's still injured from the crash from a couple of days ago, and our medical staff will be treating him this morning and taking him for a checkup, and hopefully he's going to be okay to start the stage today. But regardless, it is what it is. We're working with the resources we've got, and we've got 48 hours to manage it. That's all.
All right, that was part one of the chat with Whitey. What are your key takeaways from that one, Iffy, from part one of it?
Yeah, look, you spot on, really, isn't he? He's just nailed it. You can tell they're going to ride this stage just like they did 2 days ago. Why would you change what worked? So keeping it close, give Yates a chance for a stage victory, the extra 10 seconds as well, and try and crack him early. I reckon he'll go a fraction earlier, not 3 or 4K to go. I reckon he'll probably go about 6K to go. And try and get another minute. That's what I think will happen.
Yeah, well, we've lost Brad McGee. Unfortunately, I'm a bit pedantic with the audio, and that's cost us. he's gone to fix it, and we've lost him completely. Yeah.
One of the most impressive things with Brad that he managed to do was he managed to, FDJ, one of the big French teams, who aren't normally famous for moving outside of France as far as their what they do, but to get them to come over and be a part of the New South Wales Institute FDJ development squad, that was a huge step, and it was done because of their respect for Bradley. So it was quite amazing, actually. I wanted to have a yap to about that, but we can bring that up another time.
Well, that's my fault.
I popped into I had to pop in the hospital last night to try and sort out my little issues. And the young doctor looking after me, his name was Jonathan, and he was an ex-bikie, raced at Carnegie and whatever. He loved the bikes. And he hadn't heard of the detour. But I said to him, and he went to school with Matty Lloyd. And I said, well, we've got Matty Lloyd on as a guest tomorrow night. He said, oh, great, I'll watch that. So, sorry, Jonathan, he's tomorrow night, but you'll have to watch it again. So,
yeah. Sorry about that, mate. Well, Noel Sense just quickly says, the Detour is a great show. Brad McGee's an absolute legend, but I'm worried about the general of the show. Get well soon, John. John, I'm going to have to call it, mate. You need to go rest up. I don't want to cook your biscuits. We've got 2 massive stages of the Giro to come. I need you as fresh as possible. So go get the hot water bottle, rest up, enjoy. Scooter and I wrapping up the show, and we'll see you bigger and better tomorrow and Sunday, mate.
Thanks, fellas. I just thought I'd just jump on so people didn't forget me.
All right, mate. Good on you, Iffy. Rest up, mate. We'll speak to you soon.
See you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Cheers, mate.
What were you going to say, Scooter?
I've forgotten now.
Okay, well, we'll keep moving on. Matthew says, warm and sunny. Yates is going to kill it. Oh, well, he's corrected himself the next one. Warm and sunny, yes.
Yeah. Well, hey, look, you know Whitey, right? Oh, no, sorry, keep going there.
So,
go back on
all right, so Free Ranger says, I thought Bernal didn't look happy during yesterday's flattish stage. Put the pressure on Whitey, he'll crack. And then Jace Likes Bike says, it will be interesting to see if Yates has legs over the weekend to really challenge Bernal. Correct.
Yeah, and so we're looking at the time trial. He has to be in front. So if he wants to actually win the Giro, okay, you got Caruso, who we think is a better time trialer. Bernal and Simon are pretty similar in terms of time trials. They've sort of duked it out a few times, and they've raced each other 4 times. We mentioned this yesterday, and each of them have won twice. So they're absolutely even in terms of time trialing. But you'd want to have an advantage, wouldn't you, to be over Caruso and, of course, over Bernal, which means he's got 2 mountain stages to get an advantage, and he's coming from a fair way back at 3 minutes 20, whatever it is, 3:23 behind.
Yep.
So he can't wait till the final stage. He's got to have a real crack tonight to see if Bernal's on his, he's on his knees, and then put the final dagger in on that crazy final penultimate stage tomorrow. So I think there should be some fireworks tonight. I think John's right in that Simon needs to attack early. Do you consolidate where you're at on the podium of a Grand Tour, or do you actually go for the win? And he could finish 5th. He could completely blow, but I prefer to see Simon really try and light it up and just see what happens, to go for the win. And whether he blows up or not and finishes 5th overall, so be it. But I reckon he really needs to give it a real crack. That starts tonight.
That reminds me, we've spoken about on this show before when Buells was on for the tours, that stage 20 of the Vuelta when Esteban was 1:30 down behind Contador in the penultimate stage, and they made up that time, and they were talking on the bus beforehand. It was exactly what you just said. Do we consolidate and accept that we've got a top 5? Awesome. Or do we just go all out? And if I blow, don't worry about top 5. I'll finish 20th. Like I'm going all chips in. And Chavez stood up and he said, guys, who cares? We fight. We don't sit back. We fight. We go for it. Because they were sort of, they'd made the call, yeah, okay, we'll be happy with, 4th. And when Chavez got up and said that, and the whole group, the whole bus, like I remember Bill stood up and goes, yeah! And then everyone was cheering. I was like, how good's this? And just roll the dice, just go for it. That's the whole Rocky speech.
You just got to go for it. Yeah, and they've got that catalyst now, that sort of carrot is there, that Egan wasn't great the last time they went up a mountain. We were talking him up. Everyone was talking him up as if he was unbeatable. Remember, we put up the Muhammad Ali quote a couple of days ago. If you dream about beating me, when you wake up, you should apologise to me for having that dream. Yeah, now we've moved on to, hang on, this guy could actually get beaten. Wow. It would be a massive turnaround for it to happen. But, I think that's all that Simon has to do is put it all on the table and just go for it, starting tonight and then into tomorrow. Hey, you have a bad day on that final, mountain stage. There's who knows how much time can be lost on that particular day. It's so filthy. So, it's going to be a challenge. Hey, we didn't touch on what
I've
went on in the.
I've got part 2 because I do touch on what happened with Sagan when I chatted to Whitey.
Good. Yeah, go for that.
So, all right, here's part 2 of the chat with Matt White earlier today. Well, mate, it's going to be a bloody epic stage. One of the other talking points was, just on a side note, Sagan. He was fined for intimidation yesterday. And I said to Scooter, geez, if they were handing out those sort of fines back in the 90s and early 2000s for Chippo at the Giro, he'd be bloody broke. Like, have you ever seen a rider fined for intimidation at a race before?
The sport is very different, isn't it, mate? And the thing that changes, and look, a lot of it has changed for the good. But I actually didn't see the incident that he was fined for. I didn't read it or didn't pay too much attention to it actually, but I didn't see what kind of an intimidation it was. But now the riders are under the microscope. It's live television, start to finish. So everything they do is scrutinised. And look, the UCI are trying to make the sport a safer sport and all of that. But sometimes there's always got to be a bit of context to those stories, and I don't know if they always get the context right.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it opens up the doors for other riders now to go, hey, he intimidated me. Who was it? It's like the old writing the numbers down in footy, getting the report card out.
Yeah, like primary school.
Yeah. You get snitches in the peloton now. Snitches get stitches, mate.
People will be going back to the GoPros for file footage.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny on that, the Valon, how many times the riders get tripped up with those back cameras with the audio now where you can hear the sounds in the race. Obviously, 10 years ago, you wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah. No. The sport's a different place. The sport is a different place. The guys are under the microscope 24/7.
And just on yesterday's stage, you said before the start you would have been happy if a break went away. You would have been happy with how it all sort of panned out. That they get in the end? 23 minutes. At one point, I fell asleep on the couch. Woke up at 4 a.m. with Czechoslovakian news on. But it was a pretty boring stage. And I saw they stitched you on the backstage. They got you with the nod, and thanks to Macca, he made you show some teeth and gave you the bump so that they could line it up.
Yeah. Look, it was a long day, and after the break had gone, we obviously had no interest in being in the break. It was a pretty exciting final for the 23 guys fighting out for the win. But let's just put it that way, there was a fair bit of dead time for us between when that break went until we arrived on the circuit, and then we had to turn the switch on and just ride good position for safety and mitigate risk until we got through into the final. And I'm not sure where that shot was, but there was a few times a day yesterday where I was in a bit in the hurt bag, mate. It was just a long straight roads, no information to give the boys. They knew the next bottle point was in 30k, no corners, no nothing. It was a quiet day in the car. But a quiet day is a good day when you're riding GC.
I reckon the worst race I ever saw for that was, remember that Tour of Alberta? And it was like 180 Ks and there was 4 corners in the entire stage. It was like dead straight, 100K. I think the car smelled of raw meat because we were eating about 8 bags of jerky at the time. But and then we had that stagiaire who ripped the skin off and they wrapped him up like a mummy.
The Korean stagiaire, and I remember the story well. Remember we gave him kit because he was stagiairing, and he was such a polite young man. When we gave him the kit, I think we gave him medium gloves, and medium gloves didn't fit him. But he didn't actually tell us that we could he have small. Anyway, so the first road stage, we're out there and we hear Orica to the back of to the group crash. We get to the feed zone, and remember we caught him, and he had his feed bag. Had his feed bag hanging around his neck, and he's going up the side of the bunch there, and he had skin off everywhere on one side, and he didn't wear the gloves because they were too big. Anyway, I was like, ooh, this is not good. Anyway, he was a tough one. He got to the finished the stage, navigated around all 4 corners and the stage, and then we got him, took him and went to the hospital. they cleaned him up. And I remember going up, picking him up to the hospital. It wasn't that far from the hotel, and he finished the stage. I said, "Oh, look, we can have a look at getting your flight home in a couple of days, mate." And feeling sorry for him as it's not your fault. And, accidents happen, radio. And he said, "No, I must continue. I must continue." And he came out of the hospital just like a mummy.
He looked like a burns victim. He was literally like.
They wrapped him up like a mummy. Anyway, we were talking to him because he actually didn't have too much experience racing in Europe, and the racing that he had done in Asia, he hadn't done many, if any, feed bags. But he didn't tell us. So what happened is he's taken the feed bag, but then he's dropped himself on the side of the road, and those roads in Alberta were like Aussie country roads, and because he didn't have any gloves on. It's probably the worst place to lose skin as a bike rider because you've got to hold the handlebars for the rest of the week. And I remember he was so tough. He got through the race. And I remember one stage in the crosswinds, he was just so keen to impress. And he got through the whole race and did some really good work for the team. And then he went and rode the World Championships in the time trial. I can't remember his name, but he was one tough character. And I don't know why people don't race with gloves on, but that's the number one reason why you don't, is when you do crash and you land awkwardly, you can rip the skin off your hands, and it makes life very hard for yourself to continue racing. But Tour of Alberta, the courses, they weren't the most lovely race, but they weren't the most riveting, were they?
No.
Some of those prairie roads out in the middle of nowhere.
But they have bloody good shopping centres. Remember, we went to that one that at one point was the world's biggest, and we got lost. Yep. Like, it was
in Edmonton.
huge.
In Edmonton, it had the roller coaster inside and the water slide.
Yep. Yeah. And I remember Fumi Beppu was leaving the team, and he said to Joachim, like, it just came out, and Joachim looked at Fumi and goes, "I just don't talk to you again." And he was joking, but Fumi took it really to heart after that.
Joachim didn't mind. Joachim didn't mind a prank or two, did he?
Nah.
He didn't mind a prank. Well, actually, that was when we were in Alberta. That was when they announced that Tokyo got the Olympic Games.
Yeah, we're so starving for content. Remember, we said, "How are we going to wrap this?" Nothing happened. There was four corners. We said, "Oh, Tokyo won the Olympics. Why don't we talk to Bepson and pump it up?" And so we did.
Let's bet it.
How are you going to celebrate, Beppu?
Yay! Has the honor of announcing that the games of the 32nd Olympiad in 2020 are awarded to the city of Tokyo.
The last 2 minutes.
Until the IOC got onto the fact you were using
international vision, and the video was
international vision of the Olympic Games.
Yeah, the video was blocked in 246 countries.
I think it went up for it went up.
It was up for 10 minutes, and then that was
10 minutes. It was I think it was around a 13 or 15 minute one as well.
Yeah, good times. But anyway, well, hopefully today's good times, Whitey. We wish you all the best with the boys today, and geez, we're going to be glued to the TV here cheering on, and that's iffy now. How are you, mate? I'll let him go. So all the best, mate. We'll check in again tomorrow, and hopefully we're in a really good position to make an assault on this year's Giro. So all the best, mate.
Yeah, thanks very much. No, it's going to be one exciting afternoon, that's for sure.
Good luck.
All right, see you, Dan.
Geez, that conversation sort of went off track a bit there.
You're only just realising that now. How relaxed was he?
Yeah, no, he's good. He's really relaxed. And it's good signs.
Your phone did ring a couple of times too, by the way.
Yeah, Johnny. We have had a few comments. We've got Spook says, "Love your work, boys. Looking forward to having Yates on for a victory pod. Go the lads." I can tell you now, if Simon Yates wins this Giro, I don't think we're going to have a problem getting him on the show. And another one, Kim Dixon. Good on you, Dan, for looking out for John. That's what I do. I'm a good guy. I'm very concerned for our mate Iffy. All he needs is just a bit of a rest. Get him off the front. Yeah. Ian Thomas says, "Let's hope Yates ends the stage looking good. If Bernal looks even a little like John, Bike Exchange is in with a chance. Sorry if you get well soon." Free Ranger says, "Fine for intimidation. Lance would be bankrupt." I think that's a fair call. Ben Lawson says, I think the thing is that we know that Ineos will control, but I think everyone has a bad day. I think if the jersey is going to change hands, it has to be something like Froome did. And then ICC says, I think Yates should do a bike change to a BMX before the big descents. And then he says, what do you guys think about my BMX idea?
I don't really rate it. I don't rate it. No, I don't. Well, that would be a challenge, mate. A BMX on a descent on normal roads. Whew.
Yeah.
Don't know about that. Don't know about that one.
So, looking into your crystal ball, Scooter, obviously that climb's been taken out, but what do you think is going to happen today?
Look, I think Simon's. I wouldn't be surprised to see. Look, obviously a break will go early, right? So with that climb, with the Motorona out of it now, you've got a very long flat section all the way through to that first hill, or the second hill that we see on the graphic. So I think that opens it up for another breakaway group. But as we saw what Whitey did the other day with his boys at Mitchelton was, okay, the break got up the road. That's the stage that Dan Martin won out of the breakaway group, but he put his guys on the front to make it as hard as possible all the way through to that final climb. I think it's something similar to that they need to do to try and really make it difficult and challenge, not just Bernal in terms of the overall win, but also Caruso. They really do need to make sure they try and put Caruso under the pump as well. And Bahrain are pretty limited now. They don't have that many riders left in the race. I think that's what they need to do is put everybody under pressure again, like they did in the last mountaintop finish. And then tomorrow for the final mountain stage, it's just put it all out there. Absolutely, just open slather, go for it, and just see what happens on Sunday. When they wake up in the morning and see where the GC settles. So I think Bike Exchange is going to be pretty animated, and I reckon just anybody that's watched the podcast throughout the Giro will get a bit of a feel, the ebbs and flows of Whitey in particular. And, you can just tell on the days when he's really nervous, that stage that Dan Martin won where Simon did so well, he was really up and about that morning. In the conversations we had with him, he was really happy. Now, after Simon struggled a bit a couple of days before that, you could tell Whitey was really down. The rest day was really down. And he's back up again now, right? So that chat you had with him, happy to talk about, the Korean who he said he was so respectful of because he showed so much courage, but he forgets his name and they didn't sign him for the next year. Okay. But yeah, he was up and about, and it just showed that he's in really good spirits. And I think they rate Simon's chances, and I think that starts tonight.
Yep, 100%. Samantha, last question says, why was the stage changed? We covered this a couple of days ago, but obviously with the chairlift incident that happened on that climb, and there's 14 people that died, so out of respect, they're going around that climb.
Yeah, it was only a couple of days ago that there was a chairlift that collapsed. So a cable car, the actual cable car unit fell and collapsed, and 14 people passed away. So now I don't know the circumstances around whether that actually meant the cable car went down over the road they're going to be coming up on that climb or not, or it was just out of respect that there was such a big tragedy on it that they don't want to take the race up there. I'm not sure what the circumstances around that are, but either way. I think the organisers have done the right thing to show the respects to the family of those that passed away only a couple of days ago. And this certainly would have been a spectacular climb in terms of the scenery, the racing. It's right next to Lake Maggiore. I lived just down the road from there for a couple of years. I remember Simone, going solo up over the Motorona. Mick Rogers, who we've had on the show, used to train up there all the time when he lived and worked and rode for Mappe. So it would have been iconic, but there are bigger things going on other than a bike race and 14 people losing their life, in a tragic accident, I think is far more important.
Couldn't agree more. And last one, Wombat Breath, thanks for the show. Exciting nights coming. Absolutely. Simon Yates is the favourite for the stage, as he well should be, because he is going to smoke it up on that last climb, and fingers crossed he pulls some more time on Bernal. As we always say, youtube.com/the Detour podcast. Like, share, subscribe, get behind it. Now, I thought, why not finish again? If you're just tuning in, we played Whitey a clip, and it was the Rocky II analogy. Yatesy's Rocky, Whitey's Adrian, Jerry's Mickey in the corner.
And so you're going to show that clip again?
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So before you do, if you're going to finish on that,
Yep.
you know how I always like to try and throw in a bit of useless trivia.
Oh,
everyone. Yeah.
Yep.
So my little connection, I did mention the Sydney Olympic Games, Madison, not for my benefit. We're talking about that conversation with Brad McGee. And I mentioned the Italians that went in from 4th into 3rd place because of my early celebration. Marco Villa was one of those Italians that picked up a bronze medal, 2-time World Madison champion as well. The stage tonight starts in his hometown. So it's Abatia Grossa, or Grasso, Abatia Grasso is where Marco Villa is from. So that's my little bit of useless trivia for all of the fans.
And we'll finish on Free Ranger says, thanks for the show. All the best to Johnny. Maybe some of Tim Jenkins' vet stories would cheer Iffy up.
Yeah.
What a way to finish. Thanks again for tuning in, guys. We'll see you again tomorrow night, and hopefully we're talking about Simon Yates being on the cusp of leading the Giro. We'll finish with Rocky.
You look so tired. Why don't you go get some sleep?
Oh, no, I feel great.
There's one thing I want you to do for me.
What?
Come here.
What?
Win. Win.
What are we waiting for? Take this!